Any plans for this evening? Perhaps a game night?
Game over, man. It's game over.
Shut up. Play the game. Play it from your heart.
26 years ago, we started playing a little game. Now, we're all gonna sit down. We're gonna finish it.
And may the odds be ever in your favor.
And here we go.
Hello, welcome to another episode of Dice Camera Action, a mashup podcast where we discuss board games and movies. I'm Matt Cousineau, and my humor setting is currently set at 95%. With me today is Jason Tripp.
Don't leave me, Matt. Don't leave me.
So those are kind of references to the fact that today we're going to be reviewing Interstellar is going to be the movie. As far as the game goes, it's kind of a weird episode. So as some of you may know, I've designed and published a board game that is now out there and available called Kuiperium. And Jason was pretty insistent that we cover the game. And I was kind of pushing back a little bit. And I guess we came to a compromise. I thought, okay, well, what if we get a third person on, a guest host? They could come on and somebody who's familiar with the game. And I would just kind of bow out and let the other two kind of do a review. So take all of this, take everything to do with Kuiperium today with a grain of salt, knowing that I'm the designer creator, or one of the designers creators, but thought we would have fun with it anyways. So like I said, we decided to have a guest onto the show, somebody who's familiar, someone I knew I'd enjoy hanging out with, someone who could put up with Jason, because that's kind of tough sometimes. But most importantly, I wanted someone fun, interesting, well-spoken. So I reached out to a good friend of mine, Shelly Carter. Shelly, welcome to Dice Camera Action. Thanks for joining us.
Hi, guys. Thanks for having me.
Woohoo, thanks for being here, Shelly.
So Shelly and I first met at a board game convention about a year and a half ago. And she had signed up to play Kuiperium at a learn and play event where I was kind of teaching the game. And she seemed to really dig the game. And we sort of kept in touch through an online kind of board game community that we're both part of over the last little while. She also runs an amazing in-person board game community called Michiana Board Gamery and has a great Instagram account that goes by the same name. So Shelly, I'm going to put you on the spot a bit. Do you want to tell us quickly about a little bit about yourself, maybe some of your favorite movies, board games, have us get to know you a little bit?
Sure. I'm Shelly. I'm 30-something. I have a daughter. She just turned 7 and 2 cats. We live in Southwest Michigan, really close to Lake Michigan, just a couple miles away. So it's a beautiful area. A couple of favorite games, I would say I'm really into heavy Euros. So like the Mind Clash games, Trickerion, Anachrony, those are some favorites. I love Arc Nova. Also like some tactical games like War Chest is another favorite. Yeah, favorite movies, I would say my favorite director is Tarantino. So basically,
Nice.
any of his stuff is up my alley. I've watched Kill Bill 100 times. I watched that while I prepped all the stuff for my wedding. It's just kind of one of those comfort movies, but I also love Eternal Sunshine of the Spotless Mind. That's
Yes.
just
One of my favorites too.
So, yeah.
Jim Carrey in a dramatic
Nice.
role.
So
Yeah.
good.
A woman of good taste. I like it.
So is Kill Bill your favorite Tarantino movie? Is that safe to assume, or is it hard to pick a favorite? We were just talking about this earlier today.
Yeah, I mean, I would say that's probably my favorite because I just go back to that one over and over. But I love
Sure, that's your
Reservoir
comfort.
Dogs. I love, Pulp Fiction. I mean, yeah, they're all great. So
Yeah, just banger after banger.
which one were you waiting for?
Like Inglourious Bastards.
Yeah, so
We-
good. So good.
Jason
love
and I
Death
agreed
Proof
today
too.
that it,
I feel like
What's that,
Death Proof doesn't get enough credit either. So that one's not. Awesome.
it is underrated for sure.
Yeah.
But Jason and I agreed today that that Inglourious Bastards is objectively his best film.
Yeah.
So
yeah.
I'm sorry, you're wrong. Your opinion,
Up there,
your subjective opinion is incorrect. So typically,
Be careful, Matt. We're about to review your game. So
oh yeah, I gotta be nice here. Gotta play nice. Before we get into kind of what we've been up to, what we've been playing and watching, we like to talk a little bit about the movie and the game that we chose and why we paired them. I guess I'm probably the best person to talk about the theme for Kuiperium. The game is really a mechanics first design, and we kind of found a theme that worked well and could be fun. So essentially, the idea is that the sun is dying, and humanity has to try to find a solution to kind of leave Earth. And so what they've done is they've built a massive space station near the Kuiper Belt where humanity has discovered a new element called Kuiperium. So this element is really powerful and could hold the key to interstellar travel and to a solution for humanity to live, maybe live among the stars or find a new planet or whatnot. That's as far as we got with the theme. But obviously, if you've seen Interstellar, you kind of makes sense why we chose that movie. It's not a complete parallel, but there's definitely some stuff there that overlaps.
I'm like looking at this on BGG. I didn't realize this game this is an 8.7 game, Matt.
Yeah, small sample size in
overall,
terms of
small
ratings.
sample
But,
size, yeah, no, this is awesome.
It's okay,
It's out there.
Shelley's
there
one
in
of
the wild.
one of the biggest one of my biggest fans for Kuiperium. So makes sense that I invited her on, right?
Of course, yes.
All right, so let's jump into what we've been up to. Jason, you want to kick us off?
Yeah, sure. So, little board game. I haven't been playing many heavy Euros as of late, more lighter games. But one game that gets to the table semi regularly, as sort of a great thematic game. The production design is not the greatest. It's a Ravensburger game, but it's one of my favorite one versus many games, and it's based on one of my favorite movies, which hopefully we'll get to, because next year is the 50th anniversary of Jaws, the film. So Matt, we got to file that away. We got to do an episode on Jaws where we can unpack the movie and the game. But I've been playing Jaws, the board game, quite a bit. Every so often we'll pull it out, and always a great experience. Yeah, you got the tattoo. We talked about Matt's got like tattoos up his arm, so we got to just work our way through all of your tattoos. There's the Jaws, there's the Matrix. It's all there.
Yeah, I got a movie sleeve tattoo. Obviously, this is not a visual medium, but right. Yeah, I'm showing the top of my hand, and it is the iconic movie poster for Jaws. So big fan.
Sure is one of my favorite movies of all time. The original blockbuster movie, and the game pairs nicely with the film. Basically, I don't know if you guys played the Jaws the board game. Either of you?
I've never played. No.
Okay, so 4 players. You've seen the movie, right? Correct. Okay.
Yes.
So the 4 main characters from the movie, the 3 individuals and the shark. One person assumes the role of the shark, and the other 3 characters assume the roles of the 3 main characters in the film. And the first half of the game, double-sided boards. So in the first half, you're basically on Amity Island, just like in the movie. You're trying to track down the shark. The shark is feasting on swimmers at 4 beaches, north, south, east, and west.
So as movement. The shark, are you literally just trying to eat people?
You're just trying to eat as many people as possible.
That's
so
awesome.
Hidden movement, shark takes their turn. They're moving around. All of a sudden, people are disappearing from different parts of the island. And then in response, the other 3 players sort of collaborate. They take turns taking their movements around the board, and they each have their own special abilities. Just like in the movie, they're trying to get the Chief Brody, he's scared of water, so he's walking around the land, getting barrels, using his binoculars, putting up but no swimming signs at different beaches to clear the beaches. And then you've got the other 2 characters on their boats moving around the perimeter of the water, trying to identify which quadrant or which area the shark might be in, successfully attaching 2 barrels to the shark. And so that first half of the game continues until either the shark eats their quota or they can get 2 barrels attached to the shark while saving a few people off the beaches. Depending on how well the shark does versus the 3 players, that determines the strength and the abilities they get in the second half of the game. So at that point, pause game, flip over the board to the other side, and now we're on the boat. So now the shark is attacking the boat, just like in the movie. And literally there are weapons dispersed. So there's like baseball bats, and there's rifles, harpoon guns, and there's limited amount of supplies and gear that the crew can use to help fend off and inflict damage to the shark. So same idea, hidden movement.
Is the boat big enough, or are you going to need a bigger boat?
Yeah, gonna need a bigger boat. The amazing thing about this game is on each card there's quotes from the movies at the bottom like that. So we actually
Nice.
get into it. We'll put the theme song on. We'll try and get into character, and
Of
when we
course.
play this at camp, we'll go for a midnight swim after, and that's kind of ooh.
Got to get as geeky as possible with it.
Absolutely, absolutely. So the second half of the game is fun because basically the shark is taking pieces of this boat. So literally at the end of the game, it's usually a very tight finish. So you literally got like one or two pieces of the boat left, and you have like a baseball bat, and you've got one or two damage points left. The shark has one or two. It's like, is he going to eat me, or am I gonna kill him with a hammer or a baseball bat? You always have a great story to tell. So it's kind of a fun, immersive, thematic game, a good one versus many game. And if our listeners are looking forward, if you like the Jaws movie, it's a lot of fun to kind of pair the movie and the game together. So that's one I've been playing recently and hits the table semi regularly, not only with my family but with some of my gaming group and even people who are new to the hobby. It's nice because they can kind of play together collectively. The more experienced person will assume the role of the shark. Everybody else kind of collaborates together, so semi cooperative vibes. So that's Jaws, the board game. That's what I've been playing of late. What about you guys?
Shelly, what do you got for us?
I have a little departure from my heavy Euros. I decided to talk about a little trick-taking game that I picked up recently, and my game group cannot stop playing it. It's called Schadenfreude, which is a German word. I looked it up, and it means deriving pleasure from someone else's pain. So That's basically the whole theme of the game. I don't know if either of you have played it. I think, Matt, you said you hadn't, right?
No, that could have been an alternate name for Kuiperium.
I haven't played it, but I'm familiar with the vocabulary, and I've used that word.
That's awesome. Yeah, I had definitely not heard the word before, but yeah, the premise, it's just a basic must-follow trick-taking game if you're familiar. So if somebody plays, a red card first, then you have to follow with another red card. But whoever is the highest number in the trick is actually not the winner, which is kind of the premise, right? If you win, you don't actually win. So the second highest in the lead suit is the one who actually takes the trick, and you keep the card that you won with, and you keep any offsuit cards, and those are points to score at the end of the round. But anytime you would take more cards, if you have any duplicate numbers, then those cards self-destruct and they are discarded. So it's kind of a funny mechanism. And then the end of the game is triggered when somebody goes over 40 points. And as you would assume, that player does not win the game. They trigger the end of the game and they lose. Anybody else who goes over 40 also loses at the end of that round. The winner is the person who's the closest to 40 or at 40 at the end of the game. And then if
Price is Right rules.
Yeah. And then if there's a tie for the closest to 40, those people don't win. So yeah, it's really funny, and it feels really complicated to teach it. And then once you play, it's just really smooth and it's hilarious. It's really, really funny to kind of pull one over on somebody or make them destroy their cards or whatever. So yeah.
My wife and I would not get along playing this game. This could be trouble.
It's so funny.
So we're talking like lots of strategy and like the person who makes the best decision wins, or is it just like silly fun and you're just there for a good time?
It's somewhere in between. The first round, you play 12 cards per round. So the first round is definitely like, oh, let's see if we can make somebody get a ton of points and, totally set them up for failure at the end of, the second round or whatever. But it's definitely there's obviously some randomness to it. And it's just really funny. But there's definitely some strategy that after you play it a handful of times, you can kind of see where some strategy comes out. So yeah, it's been a lot of fun.
Very cool. I'm going to be the one talking about heavy Euros now. So I recently purchased and played Evacuation. I've played it twice now. I was trying to think if I played it more than twice. So no, twice. And the second time I did way worse than I even did the first time. This game, it's like, I feel like I need to play another 2 or 3 times before I know how to win.
I have also played Evacuation, and it is, I think the rule book is half of the problem with that game. It is a bear.
Yeah, there's lots going on. I like it, but man, is it difficult to like balance everything that's going on.
Yes. Yes.
And actually, thematically, this could have been easily paired with Interstellar, because the idea is that like the Earth is dying and it's drying up, and humanity is evacuating to another planet. So the board is a massive board, and it has 2 planets on it. And one of the planets has a bunch of building and population and people for each of the players. And your goal is to move as many of those buildings and people as you can, and resources from that planet to the new planet. But doing that is incredibly difficult. And
It's so
one
hard.
really neat thing, yeah, one really neat thing about this game, and designed by Vladimir Suhi, who's one of my favorite designers, designed one of my all-time favorite games, Underwater Cities. But this is not that. This is like another level of like brain melting fun. I've used the word fun in quotation marks for now, but I have a feeling in a couple more plays I'm going to love it. But the thing that I thought was really neat and unique about this game was that everybody has a player board, and on your player board you have an old world side and a new world side. And anytime you're gaining resources or spending resources in the old world, you have to do it. You have to gain your resources to the old world, and you have to spend any resources from the old world side of your board. So anytime, and the same thing for the new world. So if you're buying something new in the new world, or you're gaining resources from your already established colonies and population and buildings in the new world, they'll come to the new world side of your board. So it's not only is there resource management, but there's like location of your resources management, which is like really difficult to figure out. Half the time I'm like, oh yeah, I have the resources to do this. Oh no. And you have to grab them from the other side of your board. And then you have to purchase spaceships, and your spaceships are going back and forth with cargo and bringing things back and forth. And there's just so much going on. And it is an incredibly well-designed game that is really hard to master. And I completely bombed my second play of this game, which I thought, okay, the first time was a learning game. The second time I'll do better. No, not even, no chance. It was a massacre, and it was fun, but holy smokes, is that game difficult. So Shell, you've played this game. What are your general thoughts?
I've just played it one time so far.
Okay.
So I'll let you know when I bomb the second game, because I won the first time. but,
okay.
but yeah, I can totally see getting in your own head about it when you think you understand it a little bit better and just totally tanking it. So yeah, I don't know that I have anything astute to say beyond what you've already said, but yeah, it's visually very beautiful board. It's a really cool system, but definitely difficult to read the rule book. We ended up watching the how to play video or whatever, and that helped a lot. But
lots going on and very interesting decisions, and the action selection mechanism is really, really cool.
And reminiscent of Underwater Cities, I think, the action selection at the bottom.
Yeah, a little bit for sure. Vladimir Suhi, like a lot of hits for me. Pulsar 2849 is another great game.
He did Last Will too, didn't he?
Yeah.
A later game. Yeah, he's pretty flexible in his design. He's done some heavier, some lighter games. Yeah, so check out Evacuation if that sounds interesting to you, and if you take pleasure from your own pain.
Yeah. Little synergy there with Schadenfreude too.
Exactly. Cool. So go ahead, Jace.
And Jaws, you're inflicting a lot of pain in that game too.
It's true.
Common theme here. Yeah.
I was gonna say about Jaws, I have seen it played in my local game group a couple of times, and I'm always so hesitant to play a game that's based on an IP. I just always kind of write them off as like it's probably silly or kind of a
money grab,
entry level kind of game. Or
I'm the same, but this one is one of the exceptions. Yeah,
I'll have to check it out next time it comes out.
Don't let the production design scare you away. It's not a big production design, but it's a great experience. Just the thematic, it's so immersive.
Yeah.
All right, so what have I been watching lately? Let's see. I've been watching. Well, let's talk about one of my favorite movie directors, Canadian national treasure here, Denis Villeneuve. No, it's not Dune Part 2, although I have seen that multiple times and love that film. But I recently revisited my favorite film from him, and it's one of his earlier works from 2010 called Incendie. and it was nominated for Best International Feature Film. Have you seen this, Matt? I don't even think you've seen it, have you? Or
This is one of my blind spots. Denis Villeneuve being one of my absolute favorite directors. It's going to be on my short list of movies to watch in the next week for sure.
But basically the film, it starts off in Montreal, and we see a son and a daughter, and they're meeting sort of a lawyer to discuss the will of their mother, who has just passed away. And during the process of sorting through all this, their mother had some severe mental illness. It's alluded to early on in the film. And the lawyer gives them each a letter. And in the letter, they discover for the first time that they have a brother, and that their father is still alive mysteriously as well. And so basically from then on, henceforth, the rest of the movie is they have to travel to basically put the pieces together of their mother's history to try and seek out their father and their brother in the Middle East. So it goes from Montreal, transports primarily the daughter. The son meets up with her later on, but she's sort of retracing and learning about her mother's story and her history, because there are a lot of blind spots that she doesn't know about in the life of her mother. Like every parent, right? We think we know our parents so well, but there's a lot of things that we don't know or didn't know about their parents. And so the whole movie is this sort of sweeping epic tale of going to different regions and areas, and it flashes back from the present to the past as she's putting the pieces together of her mom's history. And you start to realize why she had this trauma and this mental illness later in her life through her backstory. And it's based on a live play that Denis Villeneuve watched and was blown away and said, I need to adapt this into a movie, this sort of kind of Greek tragedy. And it's got one of the best endings in any film I've ever seen. I won't spoil any of it because you haven't seen it, but to this day, it really resonates with me. It's sort of violent and dark, so this might seem like a strange comment, but this is one of my go-to movies for Mother's Day, because as dark and traumatizing as it really is at its core a story about the unconditional love of a mother and the two children trying to put the pieces together on the history and the backstory of their mother and trying to find their brother and their father at the same time. So it's Ace on D. It's 2010. It was kind of Denis Villeneuve's coming out party. Of course, he's made masterpieces since: the two Dune films, Sicario, Blade Runner 2049, Arrival for some. Matt, not so much me.
But if you're saying this is your favorite Denis Villeneuve, then yeah, it's got to be a banger, because this guy does nothing but masterpieces.
It's before he got onto his sci-fi run, so it's interesting to see the raw materials earlier in their career that he's working with, see his sort of stylistic decisions come out. So yeah, that's one I revisit annually or almost annually. It's that good.
Very cool.
Now I'm overselling it. You'll probably be disappointed.
I'm fairly good at removing expectations when I'm going into a movie. So yeah, I'm definitely going to check that one out and report back. My wife and I have been watching a show, True Detective Night Country, which is the latest True Detective season.
Jodie Foster. Yeah.
Jodie Foster, yeah, as the lead. Kind of similar role to kind of what made her famous in the first place in Silence of the Lambs, as a an officer of the law chasing murderers. But yeah, so True Detective season 1 was an absolute masterpiece. Matthew McConaughey and
from season 1, Woody Harrelson.
Woody Harrelson, thank you. Yeah, so we were huge fans of season 1 of True Detectives. It was incredible. The like atmospheric, weird, psychological dread is just like that feeling. That tone is just like so well captivated in that series, and they kind of departed from that in the subsequent kind of seasons. And I didn't even get through season 2, and the reviews were not great for seasons 2 or 3, so I never kind of went there. But I believe this new one is season 4, and all the reviews are coming in saying like, okay, return to form. This is very similar in tone and feel and quality to the original series. So yeah, we're 3 episodes in, and this show is incredible. The performances are great. The mystery is baffling and so weird. And it takes place, I'll just talk about the setting. It takes place in northern Alaska, and it's like this super small secluded town, and the kind of main event happens at like a research station where they're doing like core drilling, searching for like mysteries of life or whatever the case is. And I just love movies and TV shows that are like contained in like a secluded area where people can't just like leave easily. So whether it's, you know, the kind of the obvious one that comes to mind is The Thing, where these people are in a similar setting. They're at like this research station in the middle of nowhere. There's nowhere to run. If there's something bad going on, like sucks to be you, because there's nowhere to go. I just love that setting for a murder mystery, for a horror film, anything that has that kind of feel to it. I just love, and they're really nailing it. And there's a huge kind of theme within the show of the, like, I believe they're the Inuits or the native people from the area are there, and they're obviously not doing great in this secluded area. They're having like water issues, and all of the white people are coming just to mine and to take resources and kind of take advantage. And so there's that theme is kind of running through the show as well. And they're just doing it just feels so authentic to the people and to the natives that are from there and that sort of thing. So just really loving that show. Highly recommend. You've watched a few episodes too, right, Jason?
Yeah, I watched, I think, the first 3. I kind of tapped out after 3. Like, it wasn't as compelling to me as you.
Really?
Maybe I just wasn't in the right frame of mind, but season 1 set the bar so high. I'm like, and I watched season 2 and 3 and it was fine. And I was hoping for a return to form, and maybe my expectations were just too high going in. But maybe, you know, I do need to revisit it and give it another shot. Kind of was giving off sort of a little bit of the John Carpenter The Thing vibes there. Mm-hmm. One of my favorite creature feature films. So, and Jodie Foster, she's great at everything too. So, just her alone being in it is worth watching. So, I'm not a TV show guy. I want to consume something start to finish in one sitting, and that's hard to do with my shows. So.
Right on. Fair. Shelly, what's one last thing that you've been up to?
Basically the only thing I'm ever up to, because if I'm watching TV lately, it's been just like trash TV to kind of turn off a little bit at the end of the evening. But yeah, the thing that consumes most of my free time is I run a local board game group in my area. So that's been a really fun experience. And I just thought I would kind of highlight that a little bit. I started it a couple of years ago. We moved maybe a half an hour from where we were living before, and we had some friends who moved at the same time to a different state. So I needed some new game friends, and it's kind of blossomed into this really cool community. And I started my like Instagram and Facebook accounts, and I had a couple of local breweries and stuff reach out to me within like a month or 2 of starting those and see if we wanted to play events at their spaces. So it's turned into, we play. I was kind of looking maybe between 4 and 6 events a month, which is a whole thing. So yeah, it's been really fun, and it's kind of evolved. We're kind of always looking for new spaces and figuring out which spaces work for us and which don't. So yeah, we have maybe between 15 and 30 people at every event. And it's, we've just kind of gotten a whole group of friends out of it. You know, we get together even outside of that, you know, as a friend group. And so it's just been a really rewarding experience. So yeah, a lot of, you know, creating the social media events and stuff like that, and kind of managing that takes up a lot of my evening time. So yeah.
Right. So take this opportunity to plug it. It's called Michiana Board Gamery.
Michiana. Yep. So like
Michigan, Indiana.
Michigan and Indiana. Yeah. Yep. So Michiana Board Gamery. Yeah. So look me up on Facebook or Instagram if that's something that you're interested in, if you're local to me by chance, or if you are interested in doing something like that yourself. I'm always open to chatting about how I went about it in the initial steps, and I love talking about it. So yeah.
Very cool. Yeah. And a great follow on Instagram too. Always sharing reviews and photos of games that you're playing and stuff like that. So yeah, definitely check out Michiana Board Gamery. All right, so let's move on. We are going to review my game now, which is so weird. I didn't want to.
Don't be so humble. Come on.
Anyways, so I guess I'll do the kind of rundown, and then I'll kind of let you guys take away the kind of what your feelings and thoughts are.
Oh, you're not going to start with your rating, Matt?
Sure, yeah. Yeah, so Kuiperium is a game that I designed with my design partner Steve Castle. We've been working on it now. Well, I guess we worked on it for about 2 years before going to Kickstarter, and it is now out this year. So published in 2024, published by Dragon Egg Games and Whitewater Castle. Plays in 40 to 60 minutes. The weight on BGG is 3.00, and it's currently sitting at an 8.7 rating on BGG as well. Fairly small sample size, but I will say, like, outside of like maybe 3 or 4 people, they're all strangers that have rated the game. So that's been probably the most rewarding thing, is seeing some of those reviews and rating comes in. So that's been pretty fun.
I'm sure it's pretty cool to see that out in the wild,
Definitely. And I can guarantee there's nobody that checks the BGG Kuiperium page more than this guy. Every day go to see if somebody's posted or rated, or so if you've played, folks, definitely go in and add some content to the BGG page. So yeah, in terms of mechanics and what the game is, it is a 2-player only head-to-head, mostly card game with some worker placement, some tableau building. But essentially there's a board, and on this board there are kind of slots or a grid where you're going to be playing cards. And you're playing cards on your side of the grid, your opponent's playing cards on their side. As you're playing cards, every single card has corners on them, and they're either red lights, blue lights, green lights, yellow lights, or black lights, which are just dead lights. And you're trying, when you're playing these cards into your grid, you're trying to match corners as much as possible, because later on in the game, you'll be able to cash in that card, count how many matches it has, and get that many points. That's going to help you race up the discovery track, which is essentially the win condition. So there's this track on the side of the board where you're trying to race your shuttle to the end of the track, and the first person that wins that race gets to the end wins. In the meantime, while your cards are sitting on the board, there's a worker placement location on each card that only your opponent can use. So that was kind of the hook of the game, and the kind of core mechanism that we started with. So the idea is you're playing cards, you're getting abilities off those cards, you're getting resources, you're building up the corners, what we call synergy, to try to cash them in for points. But in the meantime, those cards are sitting there, allowing your opponent to put workers out on those cards to try to gain resources with their workers. And then, so it's a very tense, very competitive head-to-head game. Most games are super tight and end within a few actions of your opponent winning. And, we tried to build in a situation where you're able to set up combos and set up situations where you're just kind of trying to stay a little bit ahead of your opponent, action-wise, resource-wise, and it's basically a push and pull. There is some take that in the game, and we were very careful about this portion of the game. We wanted to make sure that you weren't in a situation where you're tearing down something that your opponent's been working on for a really long time. The idea wasn't to like tear down your opponent's situation, but to just try to set them back a couple of actions. So it's more of like almost a tug of war where you're trying to keep the advantage and stay ahead of your opponent. And without going too deep into the details and the minutia of the cards and the game, that's in broad strokes what the game is all about.
So Shelly, I'd love to hear your introduction to this game. I guess obviously Matt, maybe at the con you played it with him. Maybe you could talk about. I'd love to hear about your first experiences playing the game and impressions.
Like he mentioned, I joined just kind of a convention event where he was running it and teaching the game. And I really enjoyed it. I mean, our initial game was really close, and I thought that I was going to win, and my opponent won at the last minute. So it just kind of leaves you wanting to try it again. So I was just really excited for the project to come out. I ended up playing it again that at the convention I taught my husband because I wanted to make sure that he had tried it too, because I knew that it was going to be going to crowdfunding. And yeah, we've just really enjoyed it since we've gotten our copy. We've played a few more games of it, and it just kind of has that same feel every time where whoever loses wants to try again, because it's just quick, I mean, it's punishing, but I feel like a game is okay if it's punishing as long as you're not suffering for hours and feeling like you're just losing this game. It's this like whippy, like back and forth between you and your opponent, and I just really enjoy that feel.
Yeah.
Of the game.
Yeah, there's definitely some Schadenfreude in there, isn't there, in this game as well?
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, I'm not a giant, and Matt knows this, I'm not a giant 2-player board gamer, so I pick my 2-player games sparingly, but having played this with Matt, and Matt, this is kind of how we got to know each other over this game. We had known about each other in the local board gaming community here, and I thought, this guy's designing a game. And at the church where I work, we have a board game cafe, and we'll run regular gaming nights and marathon game events, etc. And so I invited Matt just to bring a copy of his game to one of those evenings and to just showcase it, and we were able to get a game in. And I'm not sure to this day, but I think part of his marketing strategy was letting me win. He's like, "Hey, you beat the designer." He says he didn't let me win, but it made me feel pretty good about it. So that just helped me buy a copy and back it and then share it widely. And now that it's in the wild, it's great to see. But I really enjoyed the couple plays, and I've just got my copy recently. I'm looking forward to getting it to the table a little bit more. But I love the idea of when you play that card down, you're playing it on your own side of the board, but you're actually opening up now a spot for your opponent to go. And that's that, I want to play this. I want to match these colors up on my side of the board, but I'm also opening up more opportunities for my opponent. So there's that interesting mechanic, that interesting tension of when do I play this card? Do I play this card as you're moving along the track as well? Like I need to gain more power to take the big leaps along this track, because some of them are smaller leaps that are easy to accomplish. Right. And some of them, it takes some really strategizing as you're putting these pieces down. And so I really thought you put a lot of thought into the design and some of that push and pull tension. I really appreciated, Matt. It's very elegant.
Yes, we like an elegant game. Yeah, when I just saw Matt recently, and he was talking about, when he was designing it, he was trying to take out anything that he could to kind of leave the cleanest game, and I think that shows. It's really balanced. And speaking to the cards where it opens up a worker placement spot for your opponent, I like that the stronger the card action that you play is, the stronger that worker placement spot is for your opponent. So there's a lot of back and forth with that as well. So yeah, my husband and I played last night, and I kept destroying his Kuiperium, but those were the cards that he had played out for me to take those action spaces, so it's kind of your own fault if you open yourself up to letting somebody destroy your Kuiperium in 3 different worker placement spots. So yeah, it's really fun.
I'd be curious, Matt, just to draw you back into the conversation. Like this is there's some unique stuff going on in this game, but obviously there was some inspirations in the game design. What games influenced you or your design partner in bringing sort of Kuiperium to its completion?
I'm not sure there's any specific game. I know for sure the very first seed of the idea that kind of ended up being Kuiperium was kind of a shower thought. I remember the moment, and all I could think of was like, okay, I've got my own tableau. I'm playing cards. I don't know why or what it's going to do, but I'm playing cards for good stuff. But every card I play creates the worker placement for my opponent. That was the idea. Like that was the only kind of thought. And then it was like, okay, Steve was at the time working on a card game that I was helping him with and helping playtest. And I was working on a different board game. We were both working on our own individual things. And I thought, do you want to get together and we can maybe continue to help each other with these other games? But I have this idea for a small card game, and at the time I was doing a lot of research in game design and how to get started, because this is I was just brand new in board game design at the time, a few years ago, and all of the advice that I had seen was like, start small, start with a card game, Don't go huge. Whereas if you go to crowdfunding and you make a small mistake in printing or whatever, it's not going to cost you an arm and a leg. Making a mistake on a small game is going to cost you a lot less than if you're making this massive board game. So I talked to Steve and I said, like, do you want to take a shot at designing a game together? I pitched him that idea. We kind of brainstormed, and the game basically caught fire with us. And we spent the next, and this was at the beginning of the pandemic, so Steve wasn't working. I was still working, but I had nothing else to do when I wasn't working. And so the game we got obsessed over it the way that you do sometimes with a project. And we just couldn't stop thinking about it and working on it. And basically, I want to say that within like 2 to 3 months, we were like probably 85% of the way to where the game is now in terms of design. Obviously not graphic design, art, etc. But in terms of like the core mechanics and the core loop of the game, we were, like I said, about 85% of the way, like really, really quickly. But then I always joke, the first 80% is easy. It's the second 80% that's really difficult. So that what I mean by that is like the tweaking. You've got this card game or this board game, and then that last 20% takes way longer than the first maybe 80% because of how much tweaking and super small changes you're making to just try to balance things and make things perfect. And you alluded to it, Shelly. One thing that was really important to us was keeping the rules, the overhead really, really simple. We wanted all the complexity to be in the cards and in the decision making and not in the rules. So every time we had like and there were some legitimately great ideas. What if we did this? What if we added this mechanic? What if we added, this type of card or that type of card or a different kind of resource? We threw all these ideas around, but ultimately it was like, we want to make sure that we start with a super clean, easy rule set, clean design, keep it really quick, snappy turns back and forth. And that was our main goal. Every time we thought about adding something new or interesting, as fun as it seemed, it was like, does it fit in our MO? Does it fit in the like quick, snappy turns and simple rules overhead? Is adding this rule going to be worth it? And 99 times out of 100, the answer was no. And it was like we would shelf that idea or put it aside and be like, okay, maybe an expansion. Maybe if the game does well, maybe that'll be an expansion. Maybe that'll be an add-on or something different we can do. So yeah, that's kind of a quick spiel of how we started things.
And that's a wise choice. That part of the elegance I mentioned earlier is that this is a game that's not too difficult to learn, but there's high replayability because it's hard to master. I'm pretty sure it was beginner's luck my first play, and my second play will be like your evacuation experience. And it was actually, because my second play I did not do well. So yeah, I love the fact that you resisted that, because you could have thrown the kitchen sink into this game and it might have been too finicky or overwhelming for some. This is a game that, it's 3 out of 5 BGG weight, which is that nice sort of sweet middle spot. Whereas if you're an experienced gamer, this is not going to bore you. If you're relatively new to gaming, this is not going to overwhelm you either, which is nice. I feel like I can sit down and play this with an experienced gamer, and I can teach this to non-gamer or those new to the hobby, and they won't be like a deer in the headlights, because it's easy enough to pick up the basic mechanics and the flow of the game. And then there's a whole world to explore with all the cards and all the possibilities and all the chaining and comboing. So it's great. And I do hope expansion, maybe. Hard to say. You got to wait and see. Or
yeah, it's a probably at this point, but yeah, really difficult to tell. We're at the stage now where we're just finishing fulfillment, and the last I guess year has, like, the first 2 years of this project was like game design, and that was super fun, and I had a total blast. And the last year or so, most things to do with Kuiperium have to do with like paying bills and jumping through hoops and answering emails and spreadsheets and all the stuff that I'm terrible at and that I don't like doing. So, I more or less have decided that I wouldn't self-publish again. I don't regret doing it, because I learned a lot. I had a lot of fun figuring out how this whole industry works. But going forward, I don't think that I would ever self-publish again. So if we did decide to do an expansion, which again, the word is probably, we'd like to, but it's going to depend a lot about what the next 6 months look like when the game hits retail, what the uptake is like, and how many people enjoy the game, and how many people are purchasing, and what our financial situation is like. And but primarily, if we did decide to do that, we'd have to find a publisher and somebody who's willing to take on Kuiperium, the base game, as well as potentially an expansion. So to be honest, I'm not really sure how that would work, or how that could work, but I'm sure we could potentially make it happen if we put our minds to it. So we'll see.
Well, as word of mouth gets around, it's getting mostly positive reviews out there. So hopefully, potentially a publisher would latch onto it down the road. This game looks gorgeous, by the way. Gorgeous on the table. Love the artwork. Love the design. If I'm going to have one minor nitpick, I would like to, if there's a reprint down the road, I'd like to see the text on the cards a little larger. That would be my only. That's a minor thing, but sometimes I'm kind of, what's that card say? Kind of squinting. There's so many cards on the table, right?
I think the text is larger than the prototypes were, right? I'm pretty
It
sure.
is, yeah. The prototypes were brutal.
The prototypes were, yeah.
And I think that's what you originally played, Jason.
Yeah, I noticed they're a little larger in this game, but I guess there's not much room to make it any larger. But that's been one still continued critique that I've heard from people I've played with. But
yeah, I've gotten that feedback.
Better than the prototype. Yeah.
Yes. Yeah, I was gonna similarly. I don't have any major critiques about the gameplay or the mechanisms. I think we've talked about, that we like the game overall, how it plays. I think mine is a little bit of an aesthetic nitpick too. The main board, I find there's like a translucency, or like it's a little faded compared to the vibrancy of the sideboard that has the discovery track on it, and the vibrancy of the cards themselves. And I think that was intentional. I mean, you can correct me, but it seems like it was intentional to kind of bring the cards to the foreground. But yeah, it just always looks a little bit like it's kind of
compared to the rest.
Not crisp. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah,
so.
Fair. Yeah, we did. It was by design, and originally that board was a lot more vibrant. The problem was that when you have 4 or 5 cards on the board on each side, the cards got lost a little bit.
They get lost, yeah.
Because the board is so busy. So we tried to keep a little bit of that color and vibrancy, but we definitely needed to be muted. Maybe it's not perfect, but functionally it still works, which is the most important thing. But yeah, that's fair. That's fair criticism. Like the empty board without cards definitely doesn't pop the way that the cards do, the way that the sideboard does, and the way that the box does on the shelf, for example.
Right.
So I'd be curious, you guys, like in your estimation, having played it, having designed it, played it, who is this game for? Who is this game maybe not for? In your opinion, who would you recommend this game to, Shelly?
Well, I mean, to play this game, you have to be okay with your partner, doing something that's inevitably going to be directly affecting your strategy. In this game, you can move a card in somebody else's tableau, which affects the synergies of the corners, and you can destroy the Kuiperium that they've been collecting. So you have to be okay with that. I mean, it's a main tenet of the game. So I think it feels okay because it's kind of a back and forth. That kind of thing doesn't bother me, but I know it does some game players. And then the other thing is you have to be a 2-player game player, right? So this is one that I would love to show my game group locally, and it's just not come out as much as I would like it to, because we have a bigger group, and to, siphon off a couple of players, I think will just be something I would need to do really intentionally to show the game to more people. So
what I'm hearing is 3-4 player expansion needed ASAP.
if we do an expansion, if and when we do an expansion, that is absolutely the priority. Is to
really?
I love a 2-player game. So I mean, I don't have any problem with it. I'm just, as the audience would want to know, those are definitely the main things that I think would be important. So
yeah, the take that element is important, because like my wife will not play this because she just likes to do her own thing. I want to build my own thing. I don't want anybody interfering with my best laid plans. And this is not that game.
Yeah. And I like both for sure. I think there's room for both,
Absolutely.
But yeah, it bothers people some more than others.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Fantastic.
totally
So
fair, and we know right from the outset that this is not going to be for everybody. If you're opposed to take that, typically you'll stay away from that. It's not, if you're like Jason, who typically just enjoys your larger groups, then obviously that's kind of a negative against the game as well. But for the people that this is for, I feel like the feedback that we've gotten has been overwhelmingly positive from that group.
Yeah, it's great. I hope you get some traction. You said something about a retail release, and I'm kind of curious what those plans look like, because kind of, in doing my research before the episode, I was kind of trying to see, like, it is available to buy, right? And it was a little bit of like, I had to kind of dive in and find it. So I'm hoping that, is easier.
As of this recording, it's not technically available in retail. You can get it online as a late back, basically.
Yeah, that's
and then we're shipping right away. But that has a little bit higher shipping rates. But we definitely want to get it out there available through wholesale retail to retailers. So that's the game plan, and it'll be up to your local game stores whether or not they pick up some copies. So definitely go and bug your local retailers for a copy of Kuiperium.
Awesome.
Yeah, as my mother used to say, the squeaky wheel gets the grease. So keep on squeaking and get this in your local game stores. Yeah. All right. Moment of truth. And I want to let our listeners know that no money changed hands in the making of this review or ratings. At least I didn't get any money. Maybe you paid Shelly off. I don't know. But we'll let you off the hook, Mac. You're the designer. So obviously we're not going to ask you your rating. But Shelly, what's your honest rating out of 10 if you would give a rating to Kuiperium?
I checked my Board Game Geek account before the podcast, and I have it at a 9 out of 10. So, and nice. I don't give those ratings lightly. So yeah, I play tons and tons of games, and this is one that'll stay in the collection for sure.
It's fantastic. I've currently got it at an 8, but that's only because the plays have been limited, and I'm not typically a 2-player. Like, that's probably my second highest 2-player game rating of all 2-player games. So that's not a low rating by any stretch from my perspective, Matt. That's where it is, and I could see it definitely climbing to a 9 with a few more plays and experiences, and maybe if I can beat the designer again legitimately, that'll help too. So yeah, so great job, Matt. Congrats on getting this game out into the wild. I know it was a long journey for you, and hey, this is a game. We're friends because of this game, right? So all three of us, we're gathering around this game. This is the catalyst. That is.
I owe this game a lot more than just what it is at face value. I've definitely made a lot of friends, and you two included, that I probably wouldn't may not have met otherwise. So yeah, I'm definitely grateful for my whole experience. And there's nothing like walking into your local game store and just seeing your name on the shelf. It's pretty great feeling.
Pretty incredible.
Yeah. So thank you guys. I know this is super awkward and it's kind of weird.
It's not. It's only
on my own podcast.
You're making it awkward. Come on.
It is what it is, I guess.
Shameless promotion.
Cut that out. It's okay. Talk about your game.
Let's move on to Interstellar as our main movie review. Jason, why don't you introduce Interstellar for us?
Yeah, Interstellar is just this tiny, small-scale indie art house film created by an obscure director by the name of Christopher Nolan. Ever heard of him? Of course, I'm joking. This is a grand-scale sci-fi epic by Christopher Nolan, who, if you haven't heard of Christopher Nolan, you've been living under a rock for the last little while. Recently been given his due for Oppenheimer, getting Best Picture, Best Director. But this one came out a decade ago in 2014. He co-wrote it, I believe, with his brother, Jonathan Nolan. And this was a screenplay they were working on for some time, I believe. It stars Matthew McConaughey, Jessica Chastain, Michael Caine, a regular sort of collaborator with Christopher Nolan, and Anne Hathaway. It was given Oscar nominations for production design, score, sound mixing, sound editing, visual effects, and it only won one single Oscar. Can you guess which one it won for of all those, Shelley? production design, score, sound mixing, sound editing, visual effects.
I would
It
say
won
the visual
for
effects, maybe.
you got it. Ding ding ding.
Yeah.
It won for visual effects. It's a shame it didn't win a few more. Trying to remember what it went up against that year, but it must have been some stiff competition. So so that's basically the long and short of it. Just the Cole's notes of the movie. If you haven't seen it, I assume most of our listeners have already. It's about 10 years old now, but it takes place, similar theme. You'll see why it's a good crossover for this podcast with Kuiperium. In the Earth's near future, a global crop blight and second dust bowl are slowly rendering the planet uninhabitable. And Professor Brand, played by Michael Caine, a brilliant NASA physicist, is working on plans to save mankind by transporting Earth's population to a new home via a wormhole. But first, Brand must send former NASA pilot Cooper, played by Matthew McConaughey, and a team of researchers through the wormhole and across the galaxy to find out which of 3 possible planets could be mankind's new home. And for the better part of, I think 2.5 hours, this propulsive story takes us through the wormhole to literally a galaxy far, far away. So that's the Cole's Notes version of it. Matt, Shelly, let's go. Let's talk about Interstellar. This is my favorite Christopher Nolan film. Maybe let's talk about Nolan for a little bit. One of my favorite directors as well. This is your favorite as well?
It's my favorite Nolan, yeah. And like I have like 3 or 4 others that are like right there. But yeah, I think Interstellar's got to be my favorite. Christopher Nolan is probably on my
Mount Rushmore.
List. Yeah, my Mount Rushmore. We have an American on the show today, so let's go.
There we go.
Let's go with that.
Mount Rushmore of
my Mount Rushmore of directors probably includes Christopher Nolan. Yeah, a huge fan. He takes big swings. His movies are not perfect. This one's probably the closest, to a perfect film of his. A lot of them are flawed in a few different ways, but he takes huge swings and unapologetically goes for it. And I just have a huge amount of respect for the man for that. And he's one of few directors that are left that can just do what they want without a huge amount of studio interference. And that results in weird, strange movies like Tenet. But, like I said, he goes for it and he's unapologetic, and there's something to love in each of his movies for sure. Shelly, what are your thoughts on Christopher Nolan? You a fan?
I am a fan, but I can't say I am not a great person to be on a movie podcast because I'm terrible at like names. And I mean, I know the things that I really love, but I can't speak to I can't list off his filmography or anything.
Right.
But yeah, I mean, this is undeniably a very good film, and I really enjoyed kind of revisiting it in anticipation of being on the podcast. So yeah.
Very cool.
Yeah. So speaking of filmography, maybe we'll kind of fill Shelly in and the rest of our listeners who aren't really acquainted with his full filmography, but just, off the top of my head, I don't have the full filmography open in front of me, but the Batman trilogy is certainly a big part of that. Batman Begins, Dark Knight Rises, Inception, another popular film. Go on, Matt, what we got? Well, obviously,
so I do have
Oppenheimer.
Here, so...
You got it up? All right, run it through.
So
starting with Following, I guess, is the original one, right?
Yeah, so Following was kind of his first, almost like a student film. It's black and white, super low budget. You can see, I have seen it, and you can see the seeds of a great director there. I don't think he quite had found his magic yet, but yeah, it's still a pretty good movie. I'm not sure I would recommend you checking it out necessarily unless you really wanted to do a Nolan deep dive. But yeah, he's done movies like Insomnia, The Prestige, the Batman trilogy, as you said. Memento was one of his early films.
I do like Memento, yes.
Yeah, and this was one of the first times, and one of the main themes that you'll see through a lot of Nolan's work is messing with time. It's like the man's obsessed with time. Even a movie like Dunkirk, which is like a World War II kind of war epic, he can't help himself but mess around with the timeline. And the movie has nothing to do specifically with time, but he finds a way to make that part of the heart of the film. But yeah, Memento, Tenet is a more recent one. I'm not doing these in order, but Oppenheimer recently he won the Oscar for. Inception is maybe the closest thing for me to Interstellar in terms of my favorites. It's right there, just behind it, and another movie where he messes significantly with time. So yeah, this guy just takes huge sci-fi swings, and I can't wait to see what he does next. But I remember watching Interstellar for the first time, thinking this thing's a really great movie, really loving it. But it's not until you get away from it a little bit, and now it's been 10 years, and the more I revisit it, the more it kind of hits me as like, this is going to go down as maybe this generation's 2001. And for me, it probably is my 2001 because I wasn't around in 1970. What hours was it, 60s or 60s? I think when 2001 came out, if I'm not mistaken. So
67, I think. I just watched it in the theater actually.
Yeah, and I've watched 2001, and it's undeniably an incredible film, but I can't help to think that the reason it was such a huge accomplishment was because of the huge leaps in visual effects that they had taken in that time. And if you remove those visual effects and take time out of it, as Christopher Nolan might, and you release that movie today, I don't think it's nearly as impactful.
Be careful.
Or iconic.
Choose your next words carefully. That's one of my all-time favorites.
No, I don't blame you. I look at it and I have nothing negative to say. It's amazing, but again, I think that Interstellar comes out and just does similar things with the modern
for our generation.
For our generation. Yeah,
absolutely.
So yeah, I'm trying not to cast shade on 2001. I think I'm failing at it a little bit, but yeah, I just again, I think it's a for its time is incredible. And I think if I showed, a teenager 2001 Space Odyssey, or even somebody in their 20s that maybe has a little bit more patience to watch a movie like that than a teenager, I'm not sure it hits the same way that a movie like Interstellar might.
Yeah, it depends on personality for sure. Like I haven't shown 2001 to my kids, but this is a quintessential father-daughter movie, right? So I showed my daughter this a few years ago. She's 16 now. I think I showed her maybe when she was 12 or 13, but maybe the same age as young Murph in the film. And to this day, when she names her favorite films, like Interstellar is right there in her top 3-4 films. So that was a really personal experience watching this movie with my daughter, one of my favorite films. Sharing in that joy together was pretty special. That's the joy of movies. It's not just what you're seeing on screen, but the experience that has been created in the theater or watching with family and loved ones, and that was pretty special. I also watched this in the IMAX with my wife when it first came out. That was an interesting experience because halfway through she had her head between her knees at that sort of docking spinning scene there. Yes. She was getting some serious
I bet. Wow.
And in the IMAX, she was like, "Whoa, this is great, but I'm gonna puke." So there's another experience that was created with my wife watching. A little different than with my daughter here at home, but yeah, my family adores this film. This is a film. Speaking of experiences, we have a summer camp on Manitoulin Island, which you're probably familiar with, Shelly, because it's on Lake Huron, not too far from Michigan. And we'll put a sheet up behind our trailer, and I'll bring my movie projector, and we'll watch movies under the stars. And this is on our short list of films that you got to watch a movie like this under the stars, right? Like as you're staring up at the stars, watching Interstellar, just creating that atmosphere and that vibe. So we like to nerd out with our movie viewing experiences in my family.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Shelly, anything stand out specifically for you in this movie?
Yeah, I would say like the depth of the characters was a big thing for me here. And, speaking of the father-daughter relationship, I being a girl and my maiden name is Murphy. So I kind of felt like, like, I don't know. I almost saw myself in that role more than in the parent role of the movie when I watched it. So it's kind of interesting to hear that. And my daughter's only 7, but the idea of watching it with her, in a handful of years is a really cool prospect. And then, Yeah, the other thing that I would say really kind of struck me in rewatching it again this weekend was just how slowly they kind of bring you into like the world and the problem, and you kind of go along that journey with the characters. And I always kind of really enjoy that when you feel like you're in the know with the characters throughout the movie. So
yeah, I
That's a
agree
great
completely.
observation.
The kind of first 40 minutes, and it's 40 minutes before Coop ever goes to space. So that's a good chunk of time to just
maybe
live.
50. Yeah, it's a while.
It's a while, yeah. But I don't think that time is wasted. And we've talked about in the past, Jason, of films that could lose 25 minutes, because it kind of drags here or it drags there.
I
And
don't think
that's
this
not
is one of
something that I
those.
felt
Yeah.
at all in this movie. And watching this movie for the first time, as not that I don't want to call myself a movie critic, because I'm far from that. I'm a fan. But watching this movie with a critical eye for the first time instead of just trying to enjoy it, I'm sort of looking for things to critique and talk about, or interesting takes or angles on subjects or whatnot. And I didn't come away from it with a lot of negatives. Like, there's a handful of small things, but this is just a masterclass in storytelling, and especially in that first 40 minutes, it just establishes so much without being like full of dialogue and clunky exposition. There's nothing more than I hate than when a character is speaking to the people around them, and that they're not actually speaking to the people around them. They're speaking to
down
you.
to you. Yeah.
They're speaking to you, explaining to you what's going on in the world. And I find that takes me out of the film immediately.
Absolutely.
That's my biggest criticism of some Nolan movies, is he does that quite a bit. Movies like Tenet and whatnot. But this, it seems more natural. There definitely needs to be some science explanation going on, but it feels natural in the film. It doesn't feel like they're pandering to the audience.
Yeah.
There's a few maybe minor, tiny exceptions. I think the one that stands out is when he takes the paper and he's explaining the loophole to Coop.
Sure.
And I mean, Coop would know this as a NASA engineer.
Right. He could just, yeah.
But it's something that has to be conveyed to the audience, and I guess they just decided to go that route. But yeah, they kind of put two dots on a piece of paper and they draw a line to say, like, I want to travel from here to here, but it's too far. So he folds the paper in half and then punches the pencil through the paper to say, this is what creating a loophole does. And it's like, okay, yeah, we really need that. But that's one of my only minor criticisms. I didn't hate it, but it's just an example of what we're talking about, where characters not talking to the other character, they're talking to us. They're trying to explain something to us.
Yeah, Nolan can't resist that, but he restrains himself in this one more than most of the rest of his films in that regard.
Yeah, completely agree. Yeah.
Yeah.
So for me, especially that first 40 minutes does so much establishment of the world and what's going on and what's important. Things like the parent-teacher meeting, where the teachers are talking to Coop about how his kids are not going to college, and his kids are, we need farmers right now, not engineers. Maybe your grandkids could be engineers, but right now we just need food. Like, that conversation establishes so much. And then I just love the moment where they're talking about how the moon landing was faked, and they don't want people looking to the stars. They want people looking down to the ground and finding ways to grow food. And Cooper is clearly not okay with this kind of approach to education. And so they're talking about how Murphy has been a problem at school because she's talking about all this exploration and these other things. And they're like, well, they ask him, what is your plan? What do you think you're going to do?
But Murph got into a fistfight with several of her classmates over this Apollo nonsense. So we thought it would be best to bring you in and see what ideas you might have for dealing with her behavior on the home front.
Yeah, you know what? There's a game tomorrow night. She's going through a bit of a baseball phase. Her favorite team's playing. There's gonna be candy and soda. I think I'll take her to that.
That's just one of my favorite.
The idea, he has her back, even though she really kind of resents him for a while, in the middle of the movie when he leaves. And yeah, I almost felt like in rewatching that she kind of lacked a little depth at the beginning of the movie, but then when you find out that she's been working with Brand all this time, you know, when it kind of zooms out and shows her as an adult, you really are like, okay, you know, they're going to be okay, even if, you know, the movie doesn't turn out well, and, you know, don't necessarily want to spoil everything. But yeah, you're just kind of glad to see that she's kind of come around in her own time. So
yeah,
and we won't do like a spoiler section. This movie's 10 years old, so feel free to spoil away. If you haven't seen Interstellar, what are you doing with your life? Go away, go watch it, and then come back.
This might be the wrong podcast.
Yeah. One of my favorite lines in the film, I think he's just coming out of that first 40 minutes there where things sort of shift to discovering, you know, the coordinates and NASA still in existence, and then the mission takes off, is, you know, Cooper sitting outside and he's drinking a beer, and there's the dust is swirling around him there. I think he's talking to the grandfather, played by Jonathan Lithgow.
I hear your meeting at the school didn't go so well.
You heard? It's like we've forgotten who we are, Tom. Explorers, pioneers, not caretakers. Well, we used to look up in the sky and wonder at our place in the stars. Now we just look down and worry about our place in the dirt.
And what a statement, what a line that just sort of literally propels him into this mission. One of my favorite moments.
Absolutely great line. Yeah, for sure. Cooper has a lot of great lines like that. And like, it doesn't take long in that first half hour, 40 minutes to know exactly who this guy is and what his priorities are. And, you know, and it's interesting because it's a movie where you know immediately how much his kids mean to him and how much he loves his kids. And then, you know, half hour, 40 minutes into the movie, he's leaving them for
the sacrifice. Yeah.
Right.
Because he wants to try to create a better world for them and for the rest of humanity. So it's it's definitely a film about sacrifice.
Yes.
It's about parenthood. It's about sacrifice. And I think one reason that I love this, and this is my favorite Nolan film, is you don't typically go to a Nolan film for its emotional depth. Like his films are more visually sumptuous. They're sometimes critiqued as being emotionally hollow, and some of his films are cold and distant. This has the sort of thickest emotional core, I believe, of all of his films, and that's one reason you get you get the music, you get the visuals, but you get the emotional depth of the characters in this film as well. So I think this is the fullest package. It hits all those sweet spots for me. It doesn't just appeal to my eyes and ears, but it's got a beating heart between a father and a daughter and the other characters in the film. And that's why it appeals to me and many others so much.
Definitely a huge emotional core to this movie, and it the one of, like, obviously the moment of the movie that's been like parodied and memed. Jason's making crying motions.
Oh man, it gets me every time.
You know, like if you told me, you know, 5-10 years before this was made that Matthew McConaughey was going to put a performance like that together and would kind of get me choked up, I would laugh and say, like, you know, this guy's is a surfer dude, he's a stoner dude, he, like, what are you even talking about? But yeah, they go down to that planet and they explain prior that, like, every
hour is 7 years, I think.
Every hour is 7 years. Yeah, that sounds about right. And so they go down and you know, for plot reasons, and you just feel the tension and the weight of every second they're down there the whole time. Like when they land and then they're like, it's 200 meters away. I'm like, 200 meters? You know how far 200 meters is? Like, drive over there.
We're trudging through water. Yeah.
In 1.3 Earth gravity. And I'm just thinking, like, go, like, why aren't you running? Why aren't you moving faster? Like, you just the whole time. And I think a lot of that has to do with the score.
I was gonna say there's actually like audio behind it, like a metronome feel to the score. And
that's
amazing.
Yeah, man. And I'm just
Hans Zimmer.
that whole time, I'm just like, come on, let's go, let's go, let's go. And then the wave comes, then they have to wait for like the engine to drain or whatever it is. Like, oh my God, it's so painful.
Yes.
And you know that, and then they have a moment in the spacecraft where they're waiting to leave again. And, you know, he says, do you know what this is going to cost us? And she says decades. And it's like, oh my God. When things
all
are
you want
already,
is him to get home to his daughter, right?
Yeah,
Through the
man.
whole movie, so you're just like,
who's now a grown
absolutely
woman, right?
distraught.
Yeah.
Ugh,
And then when he's just
brutal.
sitting down and receiving all those messages from his kids.
Yeah,
over the
yeah. So he gets back up and starts to play the messages.
Wow.
And man,
wow.
that 10 minutes of film is just like, you know, it's giving me chills. Just unbelievable. Yeah, total heartbreak for sure. So yeah, it's just and all of this like nerdy space stuff, like time dilation, and talking about the gravity of this like black hole and slingshot, like all that stuff is just like Matt Cousineau catnip. Like this is the crux of like what I love about movies, is all this nerdy stuff. And like you add the emotional core and these great characters and these moments, and it's just like you've got the perfect movie, for me anyways. Anything else stick out to you, Jason, in this movie?
Well, some people find the ending a little hokey, but I just love the fact that, you know, we go from childhood Murph to adult Murph to now aging, about to die Murph. And through the fantastic sort of final act of this film where there's a major twist and things get really weird, you know, he ends up just like floating in space and then is rescued, and they're on this space station that is named after him, right? Cooper Station. And you know, there he is holding the hand of his dying daughter, who's now how old? I forget how old she is, but and you've got all of her other children and grandchildren gathered around, and she basically has a moment with him that says, "Go, you don't need to see me die. You need to get back out there." And you need to find Brant, right? There's still another planet where she's, you know, making up camp, and they become kind of the new Adam and Eve figures, I guess, in this new world, right? And that's where it ends, where they're reunited. So maybe there should be a sequel. No, maybe not.
No,
don't mess it. Don't mess it. I know.
Don't mess with the perfect thing. Yeah.
No,
another thing that I thought was really smart. The guy's name is a little bit nail on the head for me, Dr. Mann. But he is really, what I felt was a perfect encapsulation of what mankind is. You know, scared, selfish, greedy, self-centered, not worried about, you know, he tried to resist, but ultimately man is so flawed, you know, and just could not help himself but to just be self-serving.
Well, that was a big spoiler at the time, right? We had no idea. That was a big.
I had no idea.
Matt Damon
was in this
when
movie.
they unzipped the suit, like, whoa! The first time watching, I was like, oh, Matt Damon's in this. That's wild. They really, in this day and age, it's hard to keep all that stuff under wraps, but they did a good job of keeping that from the audiences. Yeah.
Yeah, but I just felt like he was just and naming him Man maybe was a little much, but
a little on the nose, but yeah.
But I just thought he was just like the perfect encapsulation, as I said, of humanity, the worst of us, and mankind. And it's just I thought everything to do with that planet, Man's planet, and Matt Damon, and then, you know, tries to leave and essentially abandon the other people there and murder 2 or 3 more people for his own selfish reasons. So I thought there was lots of tension in all of that. And then the tension of the scene where he blows up the I guess the mechanism to connect, and now the space station is spinning, and Matthew McConaughey has to like do this like spinning maneuver, and it's just so tense.
So good. I mean, it's so epic, right?
Yeah, definitely. And I got to see this in IMAX as well, and I remember that scene specifically. And just prior to that, actually, when they first get to this ice planet, and the spacecraft is flying in, and all of a sudden it clips a cloud, and you find out that the cloud is frozen. It's like, what a cool moment! Like, who thinks of that?
It's like, bang,
so cool.
Yeah, between that and the tsunami scene, right? Just incredible. We haven't even talked about some of the other heroes of this film. of course, the 4 former U.S. Marine Corps tactical robots, Plex, Case, Skip, and Tars. Come on.
I love
Yeah.
Tars. I love Tars.
Well,
Like,
you led with your humor setting for today, right? And your one-liner,
Yeah.
Matt, at the beginning of the episode. It's a callback.
yeah,
to
and then like
One Line
when I
Tars.
think it's Case who's on that water planet who needs to like go help, and he does that asterisk thing where he just becomes like an
He just
asterisk
starts
and like
spinning. Yeah, you're
so
like, why
freaking
wasn't he doing
cool.
that the whole time? We should have led with that.
Yeah.
cool.
Yes, everything about those robots was just perfect.
Yeah, a lot of love, so much to love in this film. Oh man, I want to go watch it again right now.
Yeah, a few super minor like nitpicks. I'm not sure how I felt about like the Michael Caine repeating that poem over and over again. If it wasn't Michael Caine, I would have hated it. But it's Michael Caine, and he just kind of pulls it off.
Do not go gentle into that good night. Old age should burn and rave at close of day. Rage, rage against the dying of the light. Though wise men at their end, no dark is right, because their words had forked no lightning they. Do not go gentle into that good night. Rage, rage against the dying of the light.
It ends up being okay in my book. I'm fine with it, but it just kind of felt a little bit cheesy. And then Anne Hathaway has a speech about how love is the one thing that can transcend time and space. Yeah, okay. I don't know. Like that felt a little cheesy, but she's not wrong. But I guess just when you say that kind of thing out loud, it just doesn't. Yeah,
I'm doing my PhD studying that very thing right now, the power of love in the universe. So come on, I'm spending big bucks to chase after this.
Okay, let's hear the counter argument. Yeah, I just felt it's a little cheesy to me, but
I'll have my name on a book in a year or two, so then we can have another podcast to review that.
Yeah, I guess it's because of that moment where she's trying to convince 2 other scientists that going to the planet,
Man's planet.
No, going to
the other planet,
the other planet,
right.
Where the guy that she loves
her former lover,
yeah. So she's trying to convince them to go there and uses the argument of love. And it's like you're talking to 2 scientists, and the weight of mankind is in the balance. And this is your argument. It just didn't feel quite right to me.
Well, I think it was leading into the part at the end, right, when he's like in the whatever 5th dimension, and he's trying to give that message to his daughter, and he finds to give it to her because of he finds it with love, right? Isn't that the idea?
It sets up the penultimate scene in the film. I think Nolan's
and Anne Hathaway was right, by the way. So
yeah, she was right along. I think Nolan's playing with the value of science versus love. Is love quantifiable? Are can they be compatible and yet at odds with one another? And he's sort of playing with those themes throughout the film in interesting ways.
All right, I stand corrected.
just my 2 cents.
Yeah, before we move on, I do want your thoughts on that ending, and particularly the 5-dimensional. I think they call it the Tesseract. Is that what they called it, or am I making that up? But anyways, the space that he goes into, that is a physical space that represents time and space, and he's able to like do the bookcase thing and move around there, and I think the only thing that he can really communicate with is gravity. I think that's how that works.
Yes.
I remember when I originally saw it the first time, I was like, what is this? I didn't
not buying this.
I didn't buy it because I didn't fully understand it. And then on multiple reviews of this movie, I'm like, okay, like now that I understand what they're going for, and I can kind of picture time and space being turned into, or time more specifically being turned into a physical space and that you can navigate. I'm like, okay, now that I can kind of buy it or understand it a little bit, I was able to buy it on like a second or third viewing. But initially I was really kind of like taken aback a little, and then needed to like try to figure out what was going on. What were your thoughts on all of that?
I was just going to say, I like the way that they portrayed it, I guess. I mean, my thought was kind of reminded me of string theory, right? Where like everything is kind of all looped in on itself and you could get anywhere from anywhere, right? So it was just kind of a visual representation of that. I didn't have any difficulty kind of believing that, I guess, in the moment. So yeah, I enjoyed it.
Yeah, just that moment of realization when Cooper realizes that he was like Murph's ghost all along. That's kind of an interesting
That was
scene
cool.
there.
Super cool.
And that while these beings can perceive these 5 dimensions, they can't locate a point of reference in time, but he's able to because of that love connection, because of his connection and love for his daughter that draws him to her, much like gravity draws things to itself. And so I just love how it sort of makes all that connection there at the end of the film. And upon rewatch, I think the ending has grown in my estimation. Like you, Matt, the first time I was in awe of the movie, but I was a little just unconvinced by the ending.
Mm-hmm.
But revisiting it time and time again, I think it works for me more than it did on first viewing.
Yeah, definitely. And there was an aha moment specifically last night when I rewatched it, when they were talking about how, like you just said, these fifth dimensional beings are not capable of perceiving time because all time is simultaneous to them. And that's why they needed Cooper to go there so that he could find the place in time and relay those messages to Murphy so that she could then find a way to save humanity with his information.
Right. Yeah, so that moment when he relays to Tars, just as the bulk beings close the Tesseract, says to Tars, "It's not aliens, it's us from the future," right?
Yeah,
and he became the catalyst in saving humanity through the future work of humanity. So that's Nolan messing with time again, but he does it in great ways here.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, so for me, 10. It's a 10. It's 10 out of 10. Super minor nitpicks, but this is an all-timer for me, and I think it's this generation's 2001, and in my opinion, a much better film.
Yeah, it's in that 9.5 to 10 somewhere in that range. It's hard to give a 10. I only give those out to select few films, but it's in my top 25 favorite films all time, and one I will continue to revisit under the stars at my camp every summer.
I love that. Yeah. I was going to give it a 9, and I didn't allude to this earlier, but Matthew McConaughey is not my favorite actor in the whole world. So I would just say that that's kind of what maybe drew me out of it a little bit, just because historically I haven't loved him, but he really pulled this one off. I think he did a great job despite that. So yeah, it's a great film.
Someone needs to watch True Detective season 1, I think.
Okay. I'll stand corrected.
No, hey, he's not my favorite either, but in that TV show, he is off the charts, man.
All right.
Incredible. Yeah. Incredible performances. Him and Woody Harrelson too, for sure. So we are just about ready to wrap this up. I had prepared a game since we have a guest on. Are you guys okay with another 10 minutes?
Is it a heavy euro?
20 minutes?
20 minutes? No, probably not.
Sure.
All right. So we are going to play a game. I don't even know I don't even have a name for this game, but it's going to be basically real or fake. So what I have done is I went and found a handful of B movies. Okay, that that are like so I actually have a couple of examples here that are real movies. Okay, so B movies like Attack of the Killer Tomatoes.
I've seen that movie.
So these weird cult classic B movies that are terrible but hilarious. And I've tried to pick a bunch of stuff that it was mostly space themed. And then so half of these are, I guess maybe not necessarily even half, I haven't counted, but a portion of these are fake, made up, partially by me, partially by ChatGPT. And some of these are real movies, and you guys will have to guess to know whether or not they're real or fake. Okay. So we're going to start with Shelly. Shelly, the movie in question is called Attack of the Radioactive Pineapples. Mutated pineapples gain sentience and turn on a tropical island paradise into a nightmare. Real or fake?
I like the synergy with the Attack of the Killer Tomatoes reference a little bit ago, which makes me feel like this is fake. So I'm going to say real.
Oh, you're going against your gut here?
I am.
Maybe you should have gone with your gut. That one's fake.
I was gonna say that can't be.
I got
Not
two into
tomatoes
my own
and
head.
pineapples. I think there's radioactive zombies in a movie somewhere.
Probably, yeah. Okay, so this one's for you, Jason.
Okay.
The day the rubber chickens attacked.
What? The day the rubber chickens attacked?
An experiment gone wrong results in an army of indestructible rubber chickens terrorizing a small town.
No, that's
Real
gotta be
or
false.
fake?
That's fake. That's gotta be fake. Tell me
You
that's
are
not
correct.
real.
That one's
Okay,
fake.
I'm like, come
That
on.
one's fake.
That's too out there. Yeah, had me thinking for a second, though. Anything's possible.
All right. Shelly. Santa Claus conquers the Martians. Martians kidnap Santa Claus to bring joy to their children, but chaos ensues. Real or fake?
Hmm.
Now you're thinking there's got to be some true, right?
I know.
What is it? This one?
I'll say this one is true.
This one is true. All right, back to.
Have you seen
Watch
these
that one
films,
every
Matt?
Christmas.
Have you seen these films? It's a
not
Christmas
the
classic.
fake ones.
Have you seen this one? The
I have
Santa
not
Claus
seen
one?
this one. No.
Oh, we just looked at it. Okay. I'll tuck it away for Christmas this year.
All right, Jason. Invasion of the space squirrels. Hyper-intelligent squirrels from outer space land in Central Park and begin their conquest of Earth. Real or fake?
Invasion of the space squirrels. Nah, fake.
Going with fake again?
I'm going fake.
You are correct. It is fake.
Really?
Shelley, Night of the Lepus.
Of the what?
Night
a
of
lepus?
the Lepus.
lepers,
Lepus. Lepus. Giant mutant rabbits terrorize a small town in Arizona after a genetic experiment goes wrong. Real or fake?
I feel like I want to watch that movie, so I'm going to say real.
It is real.
I think you said that like epic. It must be
mutant
real.
Attack of the
rabbits.
Lepus. Taking notes.
Okay,
Let's
Jason, you
watch
ready
it.
for this one?
I'm ready. Bring it.
Birdemic. One word. Birdemic. Shock and terror. A town is attacked by a flock. A town is attacked by a flock of eagles and vultures that spit acid and explode on impact. Real or fake?
That really got weird. Really took a twist at the end.
What's the synopsis again? Read that again.
Birdemic. Shock and terror. A town is attacked by a flock of eagles and vultures that spit acid and explode on impact.
I want that to be real. I want that to be real somehow. I'll say real.
It is absolutely real.
Oh,
Eagles
that
exploding.
should be it.
Okay.
That should be a franchise
vultures.
like Sharknado. I gotta look that up.
Okay, Shelly, you ready for this one?
Sure.
Space boobs in space. A comedy sci-fi. A comedy sci-fi film where a team of top-heavy women embark on a mission in outer space, dealing with bizarre and comedic challenges along the way. Real or fake?
Wow. Well, that sounds right up my alley. So I'm going to say this one is fake.
This one is in fact real. Jason's making a note and putting it on his watch list there.
No, I just looked up Birdemic. Look, 2010, Birdemic, Shock and Terror. 2013, Birdemic 2, The Resurrection. 2022, Birdemic 3, Sea Eagle. There's a trilogy.
Oh, man. All right, well, I guess that's your next...
I don't know about exploding eagles. As an American, I feel like this is really sacrilege. I don't know.
It's a metaphor of modern America.
That's your next Under the Stars movie marathon, Jason, at camp with your family.
Trilogy.
Yeah,
trilogy.
Beautiful.
There we go. Yeah.
Okay. Who's next? I lost track here.
It's Jason.
I'm still stuck on Birdemic.
Oh yeah, Shelly did the space boobs. Okay. Jason.
I didn't do the space boobs. Let's be clear.
Okay, Jason. Poultrygeist.
Not Poltergeist, Poultrygeist.
You really got an avian theme.
Like a satire on Poltergeist?
Night of the Chicken Dead.
He's had 3 bird options. He had rubber chickens.
Okay. That's right.
Yeah.
You got the exploding, spitting acid. Yeah. Okay. Zombie chickens terrorize a fast food restaurant built on an ancient Native American burial ground. Real or fake? Poultrygeist.
I feel like I've heard of this movie. I feel like, yes, this exists.
Are you Googling it?
No, I'm not. I feel like
you're not.
So I follow a podcast called The Big Picture. You might follow as well. And they do a few episodes on junk sci-fi. So they've done some of these. I feel like they mentioned this one. Poultrygeist. Is it? Yeah.
It is real. Yeah.
No, I'm not Googling. I wanted to Google the Birdemic, and now Google is closed. Yeah.
All right. Man. Okay, Shelly. Creepy clownfish from Neptune. Alien clownfish with mind control abilities escape from an aquarium and wreak havoc on a coastal town. Real or fake?
That is a long movie name. I'll go real for this one. I think this one's real.
That one's fake.
Of course it is. I'm doing terrible.
You made that up? That's impressive. You made that up.
I didn't make that one up. That one was ChatGPT. Gotta give ChatGPT some credit here. All right, did we do them all?
That'd be a fun movie, though.
What was the prompt that you gave?
Creepy clown.
What is the prompt that I gave? This is funny. I felt like I had to teach it first. Okay, so I go, you know how they're.
Hey, friend.
Say it out loud. I say to ChatGPT, you know how there are these obscure and objectively terrible movies that are often campy horror movies that involve like a strange thing from outer space? I literally wrote that. And I wrote, for example, Killer Clowns from Outer Space or Killer Tomatoes from Space. And then ChatGPT says, absolutely, I'm familiar with the genre you're talking about. These movies are all under the B movies or cult films. And then gave me a bunch of examples like Plan 9 from Outer Space, Attack of the Killer Tomatoes, The Blob, Leprechaun, Troll 2. And then I said, okay, so mix them up for me and give me a one-line synopsis. So it did.
I love it.
Yeah, and then I like tweaked some of them to like make them funnier or sillier or whatever. So I had some fun with it. But
That's awesome.
You know what prompted me in this game was that I came across space boobs in space on one of my streaming services, and I thought that is hilarious, and I need to share that with the world.
Good thing I have a podcast.
I have the platform. Yeah, so thanks for playing my game, guys. A few other examples. These are real ones. Zombie beavers. Thanks Killing, about a possessed demonic turkey. Rubber, which is about a sentient homicidal car tire. And Jack Frost, the killer snowman. So those are a few others that I could have stuck in there. But all right, let's wrap this up, Jason.
Wait a minute. Birdemic Shock and Terror is on Prime Video. The night is still young. I know where I'm going now. But yeah, let's wrap this up. Yeah, I got a trilogy to watch. This has been a lot of fun. Thanks, Matt. Thanks so much, Shelly, for being with us. It was great hanging out, discussing. Again, Matt, congrats on this game, Kuiperium. Love this game. And I'm not just saying that because you're here. This is a great 2-player game. So I do hope our listeners will check out this game, pick it up, buy 2 copies, buy one for you and a friend. And if you haven't seen Interstellar, if you've been living under a rock, watch that film right away. So thank you so much for being with us here on Dice Camera Action. As always, if you're enjoying this podcast, take a few minutes to rate, review, whatever platform you're listening on. You can follow us on Instagram at Dice Camera Action Pod. And as always, we welcome your feedback. So I hope you've enjoyed the conversation about Interstellar and Kuiperium. If you have something to add, please shoot us an email at dicecameraactionpod@gmail.com. And so thanks so much. We'll see you again next time here on Dice Camera Action. And Shelly, maybe we'll have you on again down the road. When we get to some of those chunky, heavy Euros that are over my head, we'll bring you in as the guest expert for the heavy Euro conversations.
All right. Sounds
Okay,
good.
thanks again, Shelly.
Thank you. Have a good night.
Thanks, people. Night.